Sony makes some of the best cameras on the planet, but in 2026, three of their most popular bodies are flat-out financial mistakes. One costs $6,000 and delivers worse image quality than cheaper alternatives. One is built for vloggers but cannot stabilize a single walking shot. And the number one camera on this list is something everyone loves, which is exactly why this is going to hurt. If you are about to spend thousands, watch this first. If you want brutally honest camera breakdowns with zero brand loyalty, hit subscribe right now. This channel is about saving your money, not selling you hype. At number 3, Sony A9 Mark III. Let me start by giving credit where it is due. The Alpha 9 Mark III is a genuine engineering achievement. Global shutter technology at this level, in a body this size, and is something the camera industry has been chasing for years. No rolling shutter at all. Zero. Not reduced, not managed, eliminated. No LED banding when you are shooting under artificial lights. Flash sync at any shutter speed you want. For elite sports photographers, for industrial and scientific imaging, for anyone whose entire career is built around freezing peak action under unpredictable lighting conditions, this camera does things nothing else on the market can do. But here is what the hype cycle buried. Global shutter is a physical trade-off, not just a feature ad. To achieve that zero rolling shutter performance, Sony had to make choices at the sensor level that directly impact everyday image quality. The base ISO on the Alpha 9 Mark III starts at 250. That is not a firmware decision. That is not something a software update will fix. 250 base ISO means a higher noise floor before you have even pressed the shutter once. Dynamic range takes a hit compared to Sony's stacked CMOS sensors. Low light performance, which is supposed to be a strength of full-frame shooting, actually trails behind the Alpha 7R5 and the original Alpha 1. Cameras that cost considerably less in 2026's used market. So here is the real question you need to answer before spending $6,000. What do you actually shoot? If you are a YouTube creator, a travel photographer, a wedding videographer, a portrait shooter, a content creator of any kind, rolling shutter is something you have probably encountered and mostly ignored, though because modern stack sensors handle it well enough for 99% of real-world situations. You are not shooting a golf swing at full speed under arena strobes. You are not capturing a Formula One car mid-corner at 1,000th of a second. The global shutter advantage simply does not show up in your work, but the dynamic range penalty does. The noise floor does. The low light limitation does, every single day. The used Alpha 1 right now gives you better overall hybrid performance, better dynamic range, better low light capability, and a more versatile shooting experience as an all-around camera. The Alpha 7R5 gives you 61 megapixels, outstanding dynamic range, and resolving power that makes the 9 Mark III's 24 megapixels look modest, for significantly less money in 2026. Whilst these are not consolation options, these are genuinely superior tools for the vast majority of photographers and filmmakers who would even consider the 9 Mark III. Global shutter is the future of imaging, without a doubt. But right now, today, you are paying a $6,000 premium to beta test that future, while sacrificing the image quality that makes your work look good in the present. That camera costs $6,000. The next one is marketed to beginners, and somehow it manages to be an even bigger letdown. At number 2, Sony ZV-E10 Mark II. To understand why this camera is so frustrating, you need to understand what it was supposed to be. The original ZV-E10 launched as an approachable APS-C body aimed directly at beginner YouTubers and new creators who wanted interchangeable lens quality without the complexity of a traditional camera system. It was not perfect, but it was honest about what it was and what it cost, and a huge number of first-time creators started their channels with it. It earned genuine goodwill in the creator community. The Mark II was supposed to take that goodwill and build on it. What Sony delivered instead was a camera that kept the name, raised the price, and quietly gutted the two features that matter most to the exact audience it is selling to. There is no mechanical shutter in the ZV-E10 Mark II. None. The camera is fully electronic, which sounds fine on a spec sheet until you actually pick it up, walk down a street, and start talking to the lens. The moment your body moves, and vlogging is entirely built on your body moving, rolling shutter kicks in. Vertical lines in your frame begin to lean. Architecture warps. The background skews behind you in a way that immediately communicates to every viewer that something is technically wrong with your footage. This is not a subtle artifact you can grade away in post. It is visible, it is consistent, and it directly undermines the professional appearance that beginner creators are spending this money to achieve in the first place. And then there is the IBIS problem, or more precisely, the complete absence of IBIS. In-body image stabilization is the single most important feature for a creator who is walking and talking on camera. Without it, you are dependent on digital stabilization, which is a compromise layered on top of a compromise. Digital stabilization crops into your frame, taking a chunk of your field of view and using it as a buffer to simulate smoothness. It warps the edges of your footage under movement. And even after all of that image degradation, the result still does not look like properly stabilized footage. For a camera with the word vlog essentially built into its product identity, shipping it without IBIS is a decision that only makes sense if you are Sony trying to protect sales of more expensive bodies higher up the lineup. The pricing makes all of this worse. Sony charged more for the Mark II than the original. You are paying a premium for a camera that shoots jello footage when you walk, crops your image when you try to stabilize it. Which one competes in a market that has quietly shifted underneath it? The used Sony Alpha 6700 is now accessible at a price point that overlaps with the ZV-E10 Mark II and gives you actual IBIS, a proper mechanical shutter, a more capable sensor, and better autofocus performance across the board. And if your content is primarily handheld walking vlog footage, the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 deserves a serious look. Its built-in 3-axis gimbal produces stabilized footage on foot that the ZV-E10 Mark II simply cannot match, at a lower price with a smaller footprint and without requiring a single lens purchase. Sony built a vlogging camera that cannot vlog properly, and they charge you more for the privilege. If this video is already saving you money, hit subscribe right now. For full camera buying guides built for 2026, check out the AltBuzz website. Link is in the description. And if you want to support the channel directly, join the membership. Core member is $5 a month. Elite partner is $10. Every membership keeps this channel independent and honest. Now we come to number 1. And I want to be clear, this is a good camera, but buying it right now at this price in this market makes almost no financial sense. And that is exactly why it is sitting at the top of this list. At number 1, Sony A7C Mark II. I want to start by saying something I genuinely mean. The Alpha 7C Mark II is a good camera. It produces beautiful images. The autofocus is world-class. The 33-megapixel full-frame sensor, the exact same one inside the Alpha 7 Mark IV, resolves incredible detail and handles color in a way that only Sony's best sensors can. The compact body is real and it matters. This is a camera that fits in a shoulder bag where a larger full-frame body would not. And for travel photographers and creators who move constantly, that is not a trivial advantage. I understand why people love it. I understand why it sells. And I understand why putting it at number 1 on this list is going to generate some heat in the comment section. But this is 2026. And in 2026, the value equation around this camera has shifted in a way that makes it very difficult to recommend at its current price. Start with a single SD card slot, just one. For a hobbyist shooting personal projects, this is inconvenient but manageable. For anyone doing paid work, weddings, events, commercial shoots, client portrait sessions, a single card slot is a professional liability that experienced photographers simply do not accept. Memory cards fail without warning. They have always failed without warning. Redundant recording, where your footage and images are simultaneously written to 2 cards, is the standard safety net for any situation where losing a take or an entire event is not an option. Sony put 1 card slot in a camera priced at the top of the enthusiast market and called it a compact compromise. It is not a compromise. It is a risk. The electronic viewfinder sits at 2.36 million dots, When that number sounds reasonable until you look through the viewfinder on an Alpha 7 Mark IV or any professional Sony body and immediately feel the difference in clarity, magnification, and the overall sense of connection to your frame. For photographers who use the viewfinder constantly, landscape shooters, street photographers, anyone doing precise manual focus work, this is a daily friction point that does not go away. The compact chassis compounds the problem further. A smaller body means less surface area to move heat away from the sensor and processor during demanding tasks. Extended 4K video sessions, particularly in warm environments or when recording events continuously, push the 7C2 toward thermal throttling faster than its larger siblings. These are not edge case failures. They are predictable outcomes of building a smaller body around the same demanding internals. And then there is the fundamental irony that sits at the center of this camera's entire identity. The Alpha 7C Mark II is sold on the promise of compact full-frame photography. But full-frame lenses are not compact. A Sony G Master Prime is a substantial piece of glass. A G Master Zoom is large, heavy, and front-heavy in a way that immediately throws off the balance of a small body with a shallow grip. The moment you mount the glass that this sensor deserves to be paired with, the compact advantage collapses. Your hand strains, your wrist fatigues on long shoots. The body that was supposed to disappear into your bag now has a large, conspicuous lens attached to it anyway. Meanwhile, the Sony Alpha 7 Mark IV is sitting on the used market in 2026 at a price that is strikingly close to what a new 7C2 costs today. Dual card slots, a larger, higher resolution viewfinder, a deeper grip that balances properly with full-frame glass, better thermal headroom, a professional build that supports professional use without apology. You get a more capable camera in every measurable way for nearly the same money. The 7C2 asks you to pay a premium for a compact advantage that evaporates the moment you actually use it as a serious camera. That is not a trade-off. That is a trap. Do not pay $6,000 for global shutter you will never need. Do not buy a vlogging camera without stabilization. Ashkan, do not sacrifice professional features for a compact body that stops feeling compact the moment you attach real glass to it. This is not brand hate. This is financial common sense in a market built to make you spend emotionally. I know the Alpha 7C2 fans are already typing. I know the global shutter believers have thoughts. Good. Tell me where I am wrong in the comments. I will be down there reading every single one. If you want to support the channel, send a super thanks anywhere from $2 to $100. You can also join the membership. Core member at $5, Elite Partner at $10, with full access to buying guides on the website. Links are in the description. Subscribe to Alt Buzz for smarter camera decisions in 2026. No hype, no bias, just the truth. See you in the next one.